Sorry. Yes.
Welcome. Welcome, everybody. Good evening. Welcome to the Newberg City Council, January 20th, 2026. Happy New Year, everybody. It is great to see a full crowd of people. I hope everybody is here for good reasons, and we have a lot of good things to say. So thank you for showing up. It's always fun to have a meeting when we have a lot of people in the audience. So we have a lot of things to take care of today. I call this meeting to order. Do we have roll call, please?
Certainly. Counselor McBride?
Here.
Counselor Wheatley?
Here.
Counselor Kilberg?
Here.
Mayor Rossacker?
Here.
Counselor Turgeson?
Here.
Counselor Carmen?
Here.
And Counselor Yarnell Holloman?
Here.
There you go.
All right, would everybody please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So the first item on our agenda is the city manager report for December.
Now, I'm certain that everybody's here this evening to hear the section later on about the city's new LiDAR scan and the technology that we're using to repair roads. So when we get, but you'll have to wait till later to hear that bit. In the meantime, let's press on. Community engagement. This is the things that happened in December. We had the highest performing posts for December. Updates to Springbrook Road sanitary. We had a sewer overflow due to overly heavy rain. We need to fix that sewer line. Storm preparedness. The street sweeper contest resulted in the unfortunate name Sir Sweeps a Lot. I'm sorry to have said unfortunate, but I preferred Mr. Scrubby. But I did not have a vote. And we refreshed some old emergency alerts with updated links. City Recorder onboarded new board committee members, released updated inclement weather policy, and we're not going to have any really bad weather this winter, I'm sure. Interviewed for a new grant writer position and completed engineering data cleanup, finalized public works calendar, and wrapped up a busy 25 and got ready to serve the city with even more energy in 26. Groundwater treatment plant filter covers, the steel buildings that will cover the 6 filter basins, are anticipated for delivery in late December and early January. And we know that some of the stuff has arrived and the rest will arrive soon. Keller approved final submittal for the fabric for the buildings that cover 2 of the basins. There's the anticipated deliveries. And as you know, this is a delicious, unfunded, unscientific state mandate. And over to River Street. Engineering. Keller continues development of alternative typical sections, corridor plans, and intersection designs to evaluate the River Street options. Concept alternatives will include a review of high-level costs. Preliminary design alternatives will be presented to city councillors in February to get some extra input. And then there will be city town halls so folks can lean in to the designs and give us their opinions. Nura now has a federal tax ID number thanks to our amazing attorney for doing the legwork, and we'll be able to do federal filings when we start to build that project out. In December, Finance did the following. Court online payment portal up and running, attended the FEMA training, catch-up work and reviews for policies for the new year that may need updated, and meetings to support the building of our new rates model. And there are just a few of the smashing things that Public Works Operations did. Water consumption was down a tad in December. Well House 3 being reassembled after the well was abandoned Now, as you may know, periodically our wells become bound with silt, and then we need to move on down the road, drill a new one, and we do that all the time. But luckily, the water that comes from these wells is as fresh and delicious as any in this union. Manganese is probably good for you too. Public Works Day, operations wastewater, peak flow was 7.11 megagallons. That was a really big day. Huge rainfall, 224 yards of compost given away. First and School Street utility abandonment is shown there. One of the things connected to the ODOT ADA ramp project. Public Works maintenance, big focus in December on sweeping and cleaning. 118 cubic yards or 12 dump truck loads of junk lifted off the streets. 65 miles done, couple of new meters installed. And this night photo shows the sewer crew assisting the water crew after hours with a water service leak on 3rd Street, which they had to remediate. Cleanup and facility improvement. The yard was cleaned, new turf was added, a broken irrigation line was repaired, the library and PSB were pressure washed, and a new drinking fountain was installed in this building. Now, here's the bad news. We had a sewer surcharge event on Fernwood Road due to high volumes of infiltration of rain into our sewer system. We're actively investigating this and looking at options. We are going to have to upsize this sewer line. As development continues to happen in the Crestview area, we're going to have more and more sewage to deal with in that corner of town, and we're going to have to build a new sewer line. The sewer line we have cannot keep up with our growth. I have asked the rates committee to give me an additional 50 cents a month so we can tackle this more quickly. Rather than doing it in 4 phases, I'd like to do it over 2 years. I don't know what the end result of that will be, but I think you would agree that an extra 50 cents is probably better than spilling sewage on the street. Now, I often focus on many, many good things that happen in the city, but I think it's important to cover the not so good things, and this is what I'm talking about. New development has added to the flow that is coming down from a traditional line. And let me see if my laser works. Is that showing up? Okay. I&I stands for infiltration and inflow into our sewer system. And Rachel, can you go up and down Springbrook with the mouse to show the old line, the one that's going north-south? Yep. See that line there? That is an older line and it's undersized, and infiltration is coming in due to the older housing developments to the north, that is north of 99. Now come down and go left and right across that black-brown pipe at the bottom there. Now that is a pump sewer main. It's taking all of the sewage from the new development and it's joining into the Springbrook line. That means that when the north-south line is heavily full of rainwater, it can't handle it and it pops the covers to that sewer line there. And whenever we have a really huge rain event, this is going to keep happening, just so you know. So we have to upsize that sewer line from that junction on south. Old infrastructure, folks. Oh, could you give me the focus?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Be good now.
Now, I've discovered by talking to Russ Thomas, the Public Works Director, that this line was under consideration to be upsized from 2012. And for reasons that I don't know, it was not done. Perhaps the people in those days didn't want to spend the money on it. So I'm going to take responsibility for this, and this is what we're going to do. An idea has come out from Russ that we should consider trying to run a new sewer line down next to the airport along the landing strip. Basically, that is going through soil and not through road, Therefore, it's a lot less expensive than that zigzag path all the way down through that industrial development. This could make the whole thing cheaper. We are, however, probably still talking about $2 million to build this new line. We're going to be working on it whether we get more money or not. HR report. HR collaborated with the library to put on the final Lunch and Learn of the year. Many recruitments were running during this period, as you can see. And the library had lots of highlights in December. 400 kids attended the craft sale. 70 people joined the library to celebrate Jane Austen's 250th birthday in costume with readings. And special thanks to the Jane Austen players for their performance. Winter crafting at the library entertained over 60 people on Saturday, December the 20th. Community development. Here's just some of the highlights of the many things that community development has done. Kalina occupancy certificates issued. Staff continue to collaborate with OpenGov on system enhancements. That's our new permitting software. And the director was appointed to LOC Housing, Land Use and Community Development Policy Committee, where he will continue to advocate for more local control and practical solutions. And in police events, Shop with a Co-op occurred on Saturday, 12/20. Officers shop with 30 kids at Fred Meyer, $6,000 in donations from residents and businesses, and Officer Anderson was sworn in 12/15 and will be attending the academy in January for 16 weeks. And there is a picture of the young officer. And that is it for December's events. I love to tell you the good news, but sometimes not all the news is good. So we will be working on that sewer line, and I am hopeful that the rates will vote us a little increase so we can do it a little faster. Any questions?
I have a question. Which of those lines is going to be handling the new Colina Crossing populations? Is that the same sewer line that we're replacing?
So none of those lines are directly impacted by the Kalina work. It's more the apartment complexes, Springbrook and all of that that's feeding into that forced main. And it's not that there's anything wrong with the forced main, it's a newer line. It's just that where it meets the old line, that's where the surcharge is happening at that right angle.
Well, thank you for not asking us to continue to postpone the fix. Let's get it done and get back to normal work. So thank you very much. Will, are there any more questions? All right. By the way, how many people read Newsberg or read it this morning? This is Jessie over here. And a while back, Jessie challenged me to get on her spare wheelchair and drive from her place out by Springbrook, out on Springbrook, down here and back. Robin, Councilor Wheatley was with us, and if you have we all have sidewalks in front of our house. Please take a look at your sidewalks, and if you have bushes that are encroaching onto them, please trim them up and make it easier for people who are mobility challenged. I gotta admit that when the day was done, I felt like I'd accomplished something, but then I realized that Jessie, it was just Tuesday, so I really didn't do anything special. But thanks for inviting me, and it was a good experience, right, Robin? So next, we have public comments. We've got there's some people here that want to talk to one of the issues later on, the sister city. So those are not included here. What we have are people who are doing general comments. There's quite a few of you, so we're going to cut it to 4 minutes instead of 5. I apologize, but we have to keep the meeting moving. So the first person is Bill Cobb. Cool. So push the button and you'll see the red light come on, then you're ready to go.
Just like that. This is my first time at a city council meeting. I have to say, the comments by Will were entertaining and informative. I'm here just to say thank you. You all worked very hard to make this a wonderful city. In particular, what you did for the new Christmas decorations this year are very much appreciated. And I understand you worked with the Arts Council. And I just want to say you did a darn good job. And let's get that new sewer line in. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Next on the list, these are in no particular order, hopefully in the order you came in. Kathy Cook.
No relation. Although I wish perhaps we were related. Anyway, I would like to take this opportunity to read my email that I submitted, but of course I hit the send button last Thursday, was it? At 12:10, so it could not be in your packets. I apologize. Anyway, Mayor Bill, Newberg City Councilors, Chief Kosmicki, and the entire Newberg Police Department. I want to thank you for this opportunity to share my thoughts. I want to thank each of you for the accomplishments you have made and the fine work you are doing to keep our city safe. Thanks to each of you, our community is thriving and remains a safe place to live. Thank you for bringing Will Worthy on board. He seems to be a positive influence in our community and hopefully on the staff as well. Thank you for the admirable response time for our 911 calls. Thank you for planning to fix our roads in an organized manner. Thank you for managing our budget so wisely and working to make the city debt-free. Thank you for cooperating with federal ICE operations as they may happen in our city. I trust in the knowledge that all of you have, especially our police officers, and fully support your stance on allowing them to protect us. I am grateful to all of you and how you are striving to keep Newberg a wonderful place to live. Thank you all so much.
Thank you very much. Would one of you like to address the one mistake that she made?
What mistake?
I'll take that. The mayor has asked me to address, not really a mistake, just a slip of the tongue, perhaps. We actually, because of state sanctuary laws, don't coordinate directly with ICE. We can't do that. It's state law, and they do their thing and we do ours.
Thank you. Well, next is Jessica Yu. Hi, Jessica. Welcome back.
One day we'll get it right. Well, actually, I'm here to say something very similar to what was just said, specifically on the federal ICE enforcement. And I really do want to thank the city council for replying to all my emails that I've been sending over the past month, including the mayor, including Councilor Wheatley, including Councilor Carmen. And I apologize if I pronounced anyone's name incorrectly. I welcome you to correct me. But And also our police chief Kosmicki, and also I know Simmons have also answered some questions that Councilor Wheatley had posed. So I really do appreciate everyone sending their responses. And I just want to say thank you for really committing to verify the identities of potential masked individuals when there's concerns about impersonation or kidnapping. I know that our city cannot interfere with any ICE enforcement activities, and I think just publicly committing to like if there's a reasonable fear, we will at least check on it is commendable, because I think not a lot of cities were able to stand that firmly yet. So thank you for that. And I want to say, Chief Kosmicki, I just wanted to share kind of what he had told me, because I know a lot of people have been wondering about this. When I asked about what the NDPD can do around situations that come up around ICE officers, and this is what he said. I would say that committee members can do two things if people are being taken into custody. One, document safely by recording from a distance, note descriptions of the ICE agents, and do not antagonize or disrupt lawful activity. Thank you for affirming that we can do this, and document activity is one of our rights as the US citizens. And secondly, if someone legitimately believes a person is being kidnapped, then they should call 911. However, this would be a rare case. ICE or other government agents typically have markings that identify themselves. I appreciate that you say that people can still call 911. I will say, based off our experiences, most agents don't have markings that identify themselves. They don't have like a uniform, unfortunately, like the NDPD does, which makes people actually trust in the force. But once again, appreciate you affirming that you will answer 911 calls. And then Councilor Wheatley, you had shared with a community member, and I think Councilor Kilberg too. Yes, I was like, I know she's here somewhere. Discussed with Captain Simmons, like I think probably like a month ago after we had provided testimony. So thank you for the follow through. And this is what Captain Simmons had said. They do not let ICE use public property for information, jail use, or parking of their vehicles. If our police are called to an incident, they will ask for the agent's ID, and our officers simply verify they are valid ICE agents carrying out federal operations. If there is a situation that looks concerning, Captain Simmons said to call the police and they will check it out. I'll also say I don't think everyone knows exactly what the NDPD is allowed to do, but this is kind of like what has been publicly said, and I want to say again, thank you. I know it requires work to like find out answers. And I just want to also mention, I will be sending out probably emails to everybody on the city council requesting to meet one-on-one. I know Councilor Carmen, you already said you were totally open to doing that, but I know that everyone has already said like one-on-one meetings work a lot better rather than this public city council meeting. So I will personally be shifting towards that, but thank you all for your time, and continue to listen to everyone in your community.
Thank you. Next is Elaine Costello. Hi, Elaine, welcome back.
Thank you.
I would like to start by requesting 5 minutes because I very carefully prepared 5 minutes. I like literally my ask of you are at the end, so I need to know whether I have 5 minutes or not.
Elaine, everybody gets 4 minutes today. We try to be as accommodating as we possibly can. You're burning your time right now. Let's go ahead and start.
Okay, I am not going to speak tonight, but I do want to say this. It is not fair to people who spent hours writing and curating to get down to 5 minutes to say then, oh, I'm sorry, you have 4 minutes. You need to make that decision ahead of time. There needs to be something uniform, whatever it is. Okay? I will send you all what I have to say. It does have 2 asks. I will read the asks. Please, please, please know what is happening in our country and in our county. Know it all. We cannot afford for your knowledge to be incomplete. Second, please know your morals and your own lines. My own experience, and I have a degree in sociology, so I've studied this, is that we have spent the 2 presidencies of Trump having the line moved. and it's hard to notice. So please know your lines, know your morals, and stand there. And please hear from the people who are being affected.
Thank you. The next is Margaret Sanborn.
Hey, good evening. I'm here to read a statement on behalf of Michael Roberts. He says, "My name is Michael Roberts. I'm a resident of Newberg, Oregon, and the owner of Cream Northwest. I'm here today because I'm deeply concerned about the actions of ICE and the Department of Homeland Security in our community. I believe it is unacceptable for anyone, no matter their agency, to break into someone's home without a proper written warrant from a judge. When agents operate in masks or camouflage while armed, it creates fear and uncertainty. We have a right to know who's entering our homes and why, and there must be full accountability for their actions. Residents also deserve protection. How can we be certain that someone in camouflage carrying a weapon isn't simply taking someone from the street? Our safety, our sense of security, and our trust in law enforcement depend on transparency, accountability, and adherence to the law. As a member of this community, I urge the City Council to take seriously the responsibility of ensuring that all agencies operating in Newberg act lawfully and are held accountable for any abuse of power. We deserve to feel safe in our own homes, and it is your duty to help protect that right." Now, obviously, this is something that goes back to the previous comments, and I do appreciate, as the prior speakers have said, the actions that you have taken. And I do echo the comments. Please do know where your lines are. Please look at what's happening in Minnesota right now, and please seriously consider what you would do if the level of escalation that has happened in Minnesota happens here. If someone who looks like me has a gun put in her face by an ICE agent because I'm driving down the street and get caught up in an enforcement action, am I going to be shot? Is that how you want Newberg to be in the news? Because I'd rather not, but I'd rather not have Newberg be in the news for that reason. But, it could be. That's what I'm seeing looking at the news these days. I'm seeing that people are afraid. I'm seeing parallels not only to the Gestapo, which is a reasonable parallel, but I'm also seeing even stronger parallels to slave patrols prior to the Civil War in this country, where people with a particular skin tone, with a particular accent, were asked to prove whether they were citizens, to prove their status. Now, that's something that's probably not going to happen to me because of my accent and because of the color of my skin. But it shouldn't happen to anyone in this country because of the constitutional rights that we all have. So I echo the request that you all think of your own lines and how you're representing us as your constituents. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Mike Gunn. Welcome back, sir.
Well, again, I'm not here as an attorney tonight. I was here, I don't know when it was, 6 weeks ago, a month, spoke to you people. As I said before, these people have a right to their opinion under the First Amendment of the Constitution. I mean, let's just say I strongly disagree with their views, but I cannot believe what they come up here and want you people to do. It reminds me, I'm an attorney. I was a litigator. When you're in court, somebody comes in, tells the judge they want them to rule a certain way. The judge says, well, what's your authority on this? What's the law? Well, I don't know. I mean, this reminds me of that. All these people do, and this is, they have a right to come in here and say what their opinion is. They don't have a right to tell you or suggest or whatever that somebody should impede ICE. The police, our police, are supposed to go out there and confront ICE with what they're doing, okay? I think Mr. Rogers will tell you, or Mr. Walker, I'm sorry, not Mr. Rogers, will tell you that the Constitution says that the federal government has an exclusive right to immigration laws, okay? Unfortunately, this state is a sanctuary state. The police are not allowed to cooperate with ICE, but they are not allowed to impede them, et cetera. And what they want you to do, and all these politicians confront ICE, get in their way, et cetera. What do they think is going to happen? Somebody's going to get shot or something. Exactly what happened in Minnesota. Then what happened 2 or 3 days later? 3 Venezuelan illegals, Trinidad Aragua, come out and start beating on an ICE agent with a shovel and a broomstick, et cetera. I mean, this thing, as I told you before, has gotten completely out of hand. And a couple of years ago, there was a city council in a suburb of Chicago. It was a completely progressive city council, one conservative on there. And the city council wanted to be a sanctuary city. They wanted all the people to take in these illegals who would have no right to be in this country. And the conservative says, okay, I think that's a good idea. Let's just have a sign up here. Everybody put their name up there who will take them into your house, et cetera, and let them live with you. You know how many people signed up? 0. And not a one on that city council, okay? I don't understand what they want you to do. They want you to tell the police to go out there and confront ICE.
We wanted to make the city fucking safe. What don't you understand about, we want the city.
Hey, sir, you're out of order.
Do you have any time allocated to you, sir?
Hold on.
It's things like this, okay? That's what I'm saying. That lady there has a First Amendment right. She has a T-shirt, white, right, fight fascism. I would venture to say she probably has no idea what fascism is. These ICE officers are sworn to uphold the law.
Excuse me just a minute. Please, let's not make personal
I'm not making any personal
accusations against anybody. And if you're in the audience, please,
I thought we were all anti-fascist.
thank you. Go ahead.
Okay. All these ICE officers are doing is enforcing the law that Congress passed, as I told you before, when I was here before. If people that don't like that have their congressman change the law, okay? It's the same thing as you tell these police officers here, don't go arrest somebody because we don't like what that law is, okay? That's not what their duty is. And this country is going to hell, pardon the language, right now with this situation, okay? That's all I have to say.
You're not ready? Okay. How are we doing for time? 33. Trying to move on. We have a little more room now. Elaine, you can have 4 minutes if you want. Thank you.
She can have one of
I'm
mine.
sorry.
Would,
Thank you. Thanks.
Everybody's civility, please.
Please. I am here because some people in my local community, as well as my fellow Americans, are hurting. Some are flat out scared. Some have been physically hurt. Many are experiencing trauma in various forms from our government. And I'm speaking to you because you're the local government. I'm alarmed at the demands and rhetoric of our president and his cabinet. This is me personally. I am alarmed. Please listen to me. I'm alarmed at what is happening in our country and in Yamhill County, which I am very aware isn't as bad as some places. And I'm here because a lot of people don't seem to know what's going on in our country, let alone the county. The last time I spoke to you, it was about the process of dehumanization. Recap, dehumanization is a process. It's a verbal process of repeatedly calling people, humans, something that isn't human, like garbage. It's the psychological process of demonizing the enemy, making them seem less than human and hence not worthy of humane treatment. Dehumanizing often starts with creating an enemy image. I know it's hard for all of us to think that we could ever get to the place where we would exclude people from equal moral treatment, from our basic moral values, but we're fighting biology. We're hardwired to attach meaning to words we hear, and boy, have we heard a lot of words. Trump has been spewing dehumanizing statements since he began his run for president back in 2015. We have all been the recipients of his gross and harmful rhetoric. I have a student who has listened to the constant stream of put downs and or dehumanization about her parents' country of origin, who wrote last year, this was last year, "The American dream is not for me." For white people, the fear his rhetoric has created has justified violence and revenge against enemies. Trump is now openly saying that the only thing that can stop him is himself. Not Congress, not the Constitution, not the American people, not even God. This is a quote. "Yeah, there is one thing, my own morality, my own mind. It is the only thing that can stop me." Okay, let's be clear about this. This is claiming all power, no checks, no accountability. That is the definition of somebody who is a dictator with fascist intent. I'm going to explain this anti-fascist shirt. Fascism is a far-right authoritarian political ideology that prioritizes the nation or race. And in the United States, it prioritizes white Christian nationalism, which I would like to point out is not about following Jesus Christ. It's about political power and a way to claim one right way. Fascism pushes for a strong, centralized, autocratic government, dictatorial leadership, aggressive nationalism, and the violent suppression of opposition, often using propaganda and scapegoating. Demeaning people and dehumanizing people is scapegoating. It also has a desire for empire building, which we've seen recently, and national dominance. Did you all read the letter Trump wrote to Norway about Greenland? I don't have time to go there. Yet we hear people saying how safe we are. You know what? I feel safe too. I've called Newberg my home and feel like it's my home for 30 years. I have family that settled this area. Hallworth or Hayworth, that's my relatives, the street name. Thank you. Thank you for keeping us safe. And guess what? That is not the point. This is a room full of people who are safe. The people who don't feel safe don't feel comfortable coming here. And believe me, they are out there. And telling them they should feel safe doesn't work, not when they're carrying such shame and hurt. It just doesn't. You guys are public servants. I am here because you do matter. Every single one of you matters. I already did my asks. And there's a reason I did those particular asks, because we are constantly being bombarded with racism, with taking entire groups of people and saying every single one of them is garbage, that their country, and forgive my language, is a shithole country. I am quoting the president.
Thank you. I was really hoping that you would solve that lifelong question. Is it Hallworth or is it Hayworth?
My family says Hallworth, England says Hallworth. There's a Hallworth, England. The person it's named after went with Hayworth.
Thank you.
I wish all of our problems had such huge.
Next on our agenda is a presentation from Tualatin Valley Fire and Rescue. Sorry? No. Do you? Oh, yeah, come on up. I'm sorry.
Sorry, guys, calling that EDA privilege card here. I won't be long. I didn't write anything in advance at all.
Okay, that's kind of not true. I wrote bullet points because I needed to. Some of you seen the article. I wanted to say thank you to each and absolutely every one of you. Even if you weren't on the walk with us, I know that information and stuff that was shared is going to make an impact. There's no way it won't. I know that, and I really appreciate that. And I really want you guys to know, your community knows this. We know I'm not quiet. We know I'm consistent. And we know I'm got the memory of a goldfish, so I have to tell the truth, right? Like, what I wanted to actually touch on tonight a little bit was, where's those notes? I heard the council clearly. You need actionable items that you can do actionable things with. You need those things. I hear that. I respect it. I hear it. I'm hoping that as a community, we can maybe get a little bit more networking as to, if you're interested in something, we know you're the dude that we need to reach out to in the community so that we can look online and know, instead of the phone call tag and those kinds of things. Like, those kinds of things count as ADA, and they count for community. So hopefully we can look at a couple things like that. Core ADA, in plain language, isn't about being covered. It exists because disability is situational, a variable, and often invisible. Many people who need access will never self-identify as disabled. I've been disabled since I was 13. I was late 30s before I ever admitted to anybody anything. Like, I used to pride myself to not present as disabled. That's the stigma we carry. Policies that require live presence filter out real people too. Parents, caregivers, sick people, injured, overwhelmed, not just bad actors. Written comments are access. Written comments being excluded from the spoken record is not neutral. It removes access for people who cannot reliably attend, speak live, or regulate on demand. Hi. That is a process barrier, not a safety measure. Safety versus access. No one is asking council to read threats or abuse. I have said this from the day I requested this. Screening already exists. This is about who gets heard, not who gets protected. I've survived a 2,000-pound car hitting me. I've had beyond the death threats. I'm familiar with death threats. I'm familiar with generational trauma. I'm familiar with being so frustrated of being labeled and working and doing everything you can and trying to hold all the threads. I know those feelings, and I know that everybody in our community is feeling it, no matter what side they're on. I can feel it. And I feel like we're missing this link to remind us it's okay to listen and to breathe, and that feelings aren't an attack. It's a form of communication. And we can't all be aware of the same things at the same time, in the same place, in the same ways, with the same education or the same connection. Like, life doesn't work like that. Humans don't work like that. We need to remember we're human, and it's okay to disagree. It's not okay to dehumanize people because you don't agree or you don't understand. Ask. Clarifying questions could save us so much time, so much energy. Thank you kindly. I'm still working on the watch me stuff, to be concluded.
Thank you, Jesse. Now I think we're ready for the presentation from Tualatin Valley Fire and Rescue. I personally have been looking forward to this for some time, since I've known that this is going on, to see what you guys are up to.
That's the down arrow for Jesse. Perfect. Thank you. All right. Good evening, Mayor Rossiker and City Council members. Thank you for having us this evening. I'm Corinne Haining, Public Affairs Officer with Tualatin Valley Fire and Rescue.
And I am Heidi Hicks. I'm the Director of Logistics.
So we are so pleased to be able to provide you an update of the upcoming rebuild for Station 20. Oh, there we go. Most, if not all of you, are already familiar with Newberg's long and proud history of fire service in the community, with an organized fire department dating back to 1898. This station, which we are right next to, was originally built in 1940 and has undergone 4 major remodels dating as far back as the late 1950s and most recently in 2012. The station is rich with a history of selfless service and connection to the community from generations of volunteer and career firefighters for whom it has served as their firehouse. Please note, I don't know if this has a laser on it, but on the far right, kind of lower corner, the bell. If you please note the bell, it has quite a story of its own, and we'll go into it in a bit more detail shortly. But for now, Director Hicks will discuss temporary station locations and upcoming site preparations.
Thank you. Are you going to forward for me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, perfect. So in order to staff for this station, there's quite a few staff at the station. So it's going to take 3 temporary site locations for us to staff all of the apparatus and all of the people. What you're seeing here is a station modular unit. This is pretty traditional to any modular unit you'd see like in a park or something like that. However, it's specially designed without a master bedroom to allow for the bathrooms to have single use and the bedrooms to be individual. So we have it, am I too far away? Okay, perfect. Move it up here. So this is an example of a 4-bedroom unit, which is at our station 35 in King City. We're going to have a 6-bedroom unit on the corner of 2nd and Blaine for the staff so that we keep the unit right here next to where they normally respond. This is going to be the best outcome to make sure that we do not impact service during the rebuild of the station. So you're going to see a modular unit very similar to this on that location. There will be another unit like this on Station 21's location, and that is to service both the medic unit and then for the station when we go to remodel that station. So it's going to be built big enough to house 21's crew as well when we get ready to remodel that station. And then also it's going to have some apparatus, like steel modular buildings as well for the apparatus to be parked in during the day. Next slide. So our new station design, we identified 10 stations in our training center that were ready for rebuild for various reasons. One of them being this was built in 1940. So as you can imagine, even though it had gone through remodels, it was really due for major renovation. We looked at actually just doing some major improvements to the station. And what we found out is to get it to the seismic code we really wanted it to be for the safety of the staff, it was better for us to rebuild the station. More cost effective, and we could get a better flow and layout if we rebuilt the station. So the decision was made to go ahead and rebuild this station. This station is going to be actually our largest station that we're building to date within the district. And it is going to have 9 individual bunk rooms. It's going to have individual bathrooms. So rather than have traditional men's and women's locker rooms, they're all individual bathrooms. And then it's going to have adequate decon space, upgraded HVAC systems in order to pressurize the air so we can keep what potential contaminants would come back from a scene going out of the building and not coming into the living space. So a lot of stuff is happening with this station that we would not be able to do in a remodeled station. Here are some more. We use something that we called trauma-informed design. So as everybody is probably aware, our fire service is actually exposed to many different toxins in their environment or could be exposed to those. And so they're more likely to get cancer than other types of industries. So therefore, one of the big focuses is to create an environment that provides the proper decontamination that they need when they come back from fire scenes. This station is fully equipped with an upgraded decontamination area, an upgraded turnout locker space, upgraded shower suites for decon after these events. And then also areas and spaces that allow flexibility. So everybody processes trauma in a different way. So we want to allow those different flexibilities. Some people want cold and quiet and kind of like I want to self-reflect to process this. Some people want people around them. This new station is going to provide all of those different elements. It's going to provide spaces for them to get together as a group. It's also going to provide spaces and quiet rooms when needed to be able to get that quiet time that's needed for recovery.
Do you want to mention the shift in footprint?
Absolutely. So one of the things, as you'll notice, if you've been to the station or walked by the station, all of the bays are a one-way only out of the station. Our design is to tray to get pull-through bays, right? This means that they don't have to back into those spaces. Currently, right now, we partner with some of our agencies, like the police, and we recognize that there even can be some opportunity when it comes to responses with us both coming out the same way or us trying to back in while the police is trying to respond. This station is actually being turned 90 degrees and it allows for pull through. So we actually are doing our emergencies out the other side, then the police are doing their emergency calls. So there's less conflict. So when we're returning, we can obviously yield right away to the police when they have their lights on and they're trying to go to their calls. So it just provides a safer environment for exit and return to the station.
All right, and before we get into some of the interior renderings, I wanted to take a moment to share a little bit more about the bell. And this text that I'm about to share comes from the plaque. In this image, it's on the far right, but it's also outside of our station right now as well. So in 1898, the same year that an ordinance was passed forming Newberg Fire Department, the city of Newberg ordered the bell from a company in Cincinnati. Newberg's bell arrived into Portland by boat along with 12 other bells. The cost of the bell at the time, I heard Mayor Rossiker and City Manager Worthy speak earlier today. I thought you would appreciate this. The cost of the bell was $170 and was paid for by local fundraising, including an ice cream social that was put on by members of Hose Company Number 1. And according to the Newberg Graphic, the social raised $25 and was so successful, they ran out of ice cream and had to churn more. So at the time, in 1898, the bell was first mounted. You can kind of see it. You'll have to stop by, for folks in the audience, you'll have to stop by to look at the plaque, but there's an image of where the bell was originally housed in the cupola. But when a fire occurred, the first firefighter arriving to the station would ring the bell to alert other firefighters of the emergency. And this is listed on the plaque and according to one of the former fire chiefs of Newberg, Clarence Heater. But we just, we recognize and honor that saying goodbye to Station 20 is bittersweet for the historic presence that it's had in the community for so long. And as the current captain, Aaron Zarowski, said in a recent Newsberg article, that the spirit of those who worked and lived in the station remains strong. So Director Hicks will share more about how the project team and architects have designed thoughtful interior and exterior features that will incorporate historical elements like the bell. And also in this upper right corner, you can see an example, a rendering of what the entryway or the foyer will look like that will also feature some historical elements to exhibit.
Yeah, if you walk into the station now, there's a nice bookshelf that houses many different articles. And we wanted to make sure that part of this design allowed them for continuing to display that because of the rich history that people have. When developing fire stations in general, but these ones specifically, we do have an internal steering committee team that's composed of line staff of various levels. That steering committee provides input on things like flow, functionality, response time impacts, and all of that stuff. As well, we then have an architect team and a construction team that work very diligently on this. We also have a capital projects team that has spent many hours at conferences and fire design like forums to try to find out more information on the latest and what's happening in the world of fire and how are we progressing and making our fire stations safer for staff. So what you're going to see here are some elements of these designs. So creating, again, entryways that are not only inviting and warm, that display articles that have history, but also secure for firefighters as well. So all of the the components of these and aspects to the station have a heightened security element to them. So we just recently switched to a new security system, which has given us the ability to make it even safer within fire service. So that is all incorporated in here. As you see, there's open bay spaces. No longer do you see turnout gear stored inside the apparatus space. That is on purpose. Although I know it's kind of an icon to walk by the station and see those turnouts, we want to have them in a different area. One, we don't want to have them out for things like theft that could possibly happen, but also because we want to be able to turn the air on those and be able to make sure they're as clean as possible for the firefighters. So they have their own room now going forward. You'll also see the day room down on the bottom left, and that's again where they might rest, recuperate, process some paperwork. Now being in the world of technology, a lot of that is done from the day room or at the kitchen table instead of an office space like it was traditionally done. The kitchen's on the bottom right, so we're making sure it's right size to be able to house the meals for crews, especially a station of this size. They tend to like to eat as well. So imagine that. So do I. Also very important that our firefighters are fit for duty. So one of the elements, especially with health, mental health and safety and well-being, is to include a gym adequate for them to continue to do workout activities. You will see kind of the bunk room on the left-hand side going to individual use instead of shared bunk room spaces, providing privacy, allowing women maybe that are in the field that need to maybe pump milk or that sort of thing. It allows them for some privacy to do that. Not all the stations from the past are designed in a way to support that. So very much we're looking for stations that are gender neutral and help support anybody who's coming in to work in fire service in the future. The bottom middle picture is kind of like what you'll see walking down the main hallway. Those are pass-through lockers. They allow for the crew coming on to place their things into the locker without interrupting a crew that maybe had a really late call and is trying to get that 45-minute nap in before they leave work. So again, rest, recovery, very important. They don't get a lot of rest, right? So when they can, we want to make sure it's as good a sleep as they can get so they can respond to the next call.
And as a little additional bonus information,
yes, bonus information. We actually did purchase Station 22, which has been named the Chehalem Station. It is on the corner of Dopp and North Valley Road. It is a 3-acre, property with a home on it. The home will actually be converted into the first Station 22 fire station. So we are working right now to budget to get some funds in order to do that. It has to meet the same requirements as any other fire station. So it does take a little bit of upgrading. We'll be working with the city again. They get to see us many times right now in the planning area, Station 20, 21, and 22. But we did purchase it. We're super excited about it. We are beginning just some basic work with all of the planning phase. We are trying to store some items there. We've got some moves that are going to happen. So it also makes a good adequate storage space.
we're happy. Actually, there'll be a sign coming soon. We just got word today that our sign is complete that says future site of Station 22. With that, we're happy to take any questions.
I know we'd all like to hear the timeline. When are we getting started?
So the temporary station, actually, you should see dirt start to move this next month. So just the beginning of February, you should start seeing dirt move for the temporary stations. And then the permanent station on the same location, that is probably going to start beginning of April. So complete demolition, and then we'll rebuild.
So I'm just curious, what is the cost of having, you had mentioned, if I heard you right, that there was individual like lockers and showers and stuff like that. What is the cost of doing that instead of having women's lockers, showers, and men's lockers and showers?
Yeah, it's actually less expensive. There's a little more plumbing that has to be ran, but it takes up less real estate. So we're actually able to get the shower suites into less space than what the locker rooms typically take up. So it actually does condense the amount of space needed to accommodate that, and then provides more for, maybe people who don't identify as a certain gender, don't feel comfortable. Even if they do identify, maybe don't feel comfortable changing in an open space. It just provides a more personal experience to be more comfortable.
As well as staffing, like being able to move stuff.
Yeah, that's a good point. Corinne brings up, one of the issues that we do run into right now, most of our men's and women's locker rooms, the women's ones are much smaller, which means it limits how many women we can actually put at that station. So then you're choosing and picking the crews that you can actually place there based on their gender, which is not what we want to do. We want to base it off of their technical skills and abilities and what's needed for response. So by having them gender neutral, you no longer have to worry about the gender of people being placed at the station based off the locker room.
How many crew for like a shift? How many crew right now do you have? Is there enough just to man one truck or is it two trucks, or how many do you have on shift a day?
Phil can probably answer this better than I can. Yeah, right now we do have 2 apparatus and a medic. So there's 4 on each apparatus, 4 staff, and then 2 on a medic. So that puts 10 there right now. And then there can be day staff also that just respond during day shift hours that are in a car. And that would add a 1, but they don't sleep overnight. But 10 are staff there right now.
Thank you very much. You're very thorough. We appreciate it. So next on our agenda is an update from the Newberg Workforce Housing Consortium concerning their Hive project. I see Ryan is here to present.
Give us 2 seconds to get tech set up.
I didn't recognize you back there, Nathan. Oh, good. I was told there wouldn't be any homework.
Who told you that? Not me.
Welcome. Good to see you guys.
Thank you. While this is booting up, thank you, Mayor, City Council, city officials. My name is Ryan Olson. I'm working with the Missing Middle Housing Fund and the Housing Consortium of Newberg. And we've actually got something exciting to share tonight that I think everyone will feel good about. Oh, I think, is it gonna work?
It's like it's
Do we have the technology?
Should work. Yep, there it is. I'll get it.
Okay, so the Newberg Workforce Housing Consortium was formed with the largest employers in Newberg. And the intention was to create more mid-price workforce housing. And so they worked with Sedcor and Representative Scharf and managed to raise $3 million to move that forward. The Missing Middle Housing Fund is a steward of that. And so we've worked to come up with ideas to get mid-price housing in Newberg. And so today we'll give you a little bit of the agenda. It's Hive. It's the Housing Innovation Village Experience. And it will be a home show that will open in Newberg next fall. And the entire focus is housing innovation that can ultimately lead to mid-price housing at scale. We can't hand make our way into cheaper housing. It just doesn't work. So I'll go over the development map and the units and some of the innovation companies. And then we've got a couple guests who are also part of Hive, Adrian with Cedarstone and Nathan with Mods PDX, and they'll be speaking towards workforce innovation. So we're really trying to look at all the quadrants of what it takes to create housing scale. So Hive, I'm going to share a bit of the origin story about this. So I've been in construction my entire life, developing, building startups. And when you start thinking about how to get housing that's more affordable, you realize, we have a ton of labor constraints. For years, kids didn't go into the trades. It's really expensive when you hand make things. It's really wasteful. So, about a year ago, as I thought about how do we get housing out there and how do we give these startups a chance to show their technology, and the idea of Hive came around, which is the Housing Innovation Village Experience. And so this is going to kind of bring together different innovators. We've got cross-laminated timber. We've got CLT. We've got steel non-combustible modular. We've got geopolymer concrete that's going to be assembled by drones. So it's the first in the country of really an innovation home show that's real. It's not an exhibition in at the convention center. These are real. They're permitted. And we're pretty excited. So we looked for months to find a piece of land that we thought we could fit some units on, that we could showcase these. And we finally found one that we've got right now, and it's currently in development. And this is at 3509 North College Street. So it's a flag lot behind there. And so we're working to do a 10-unit community. You don't see on this slide, but there is 2 parking spaces per unit, in addition to bicycle parking. So many different technologies. We've got automated construction, carbon negative concrete. Most of these will all be offsite fabrications, like cross-laminated timber, kit of parts offsite. Mass plywood modular that will come in and install in a couple days. Steel non-combustible modular. So we're pretty excited to show this off. And most of these units are between 8 and about 1,400 square feet. We're intending these to sell in the 300,000 and 400,000s, and really targeting middle income. So 80 to 120 AMI. So this is a little bit of a sampling of some of the renderings of what you're going to see out there. It's a little bit more, we're speaking to the future. So it's a little bit more modern aesthetic. And it's centered around a community courtyard. And this I can also email to anybody that wants this slideshow, and happy to answer questions later. So one of the things we look at with the Middle Housing Fund is how do we innovate in product design and assembly? That would be construction innovation. How do we innovate in financing and funding, regulations and policy, and workforce, human capital? And the neat thing about this is it kind of brings all those together. So at the end of the day, the intention is some of these concepts will go to scale. Some of these will make it, right? But if we are not giving innovation a try, if we're not saying, hey guys, we got your back, let's do this together. And I do want to express some gratitude to folks at the city that have been really supportive of this so far. We're trying to do something really hard, innovation and middle income housing. I don't know why I signed up for this some days. I'm like, just a glutton for judgment. So I'll send this out to everybody that looks at it. And this talks about some of the companies that are going to be involved in it. And then we had our ceremonial groundbreaking on December 5th. And this got members of the community together, our vendors, some government officials as well showed up, and city officials. This is a cute little picture here of us. And this was really kind of just starting to tell the story. It wasn't the formal, we're putting infrastructure in, but it was like, this is going to be real now. Like, we have a piece of land. We've got an amazing architectural and engineering team together. Like, it's it's happening. Milestones, we're working on land use submittals to go in February. We'd love to be able to start site work and utility construction in May, June, and start home construction in June, July. The neat thing about these is because they're offsite and modular, some of these will be start to finish in 2 weeks, right? Some will be 3 weeks. Most everything will go from 0 to move in under a month, right? So it's changing our typical construction schedules. And then the intention is in September, mid-September, early October, that we open this to the public. And it will be a Street of Dreams style show. It'll be open for probably 3 weekends, probably three-day weekends to the public. And it's the first of its kind. And I think the neat thing about it is if we can pull this off, this can scale, this can be repeated, right? So we're really excited to bring this to Newberg and share this and realizing that it's all of us together that are going to solve this. You know, there's no silver bullet of some developer or builder that's going to solve our middle housing crisis and make mid-price housing work at scale. So that is my allotted time. So I'll introduce Nathan Young. He's going to talk to you about workforce development, which is a piece of what we're doing here. So
Arrows down. Good evening. Thank you for having us. I'm Nathan Young, CEO of Mods PDX and also CEO of Hone Modular. We've been doing modular construction for a little over 16 years, and we're super excited to be working in the Hive project with Ryan. We've been to a number of the Missile Middle Housing Funds events that they've had, and one of the things that has always stuck with me is Nathan Wildfire, who's the director of it, always talks about those 4 quadrants that Ryan talked about briefly there. And it's very difficult in the construction when we think about all the elements that actually goes into place to try to create affordable housing or middle housing. We don't do affordable, but we're very focused right now on trying to see how we can create workforce housing that people can actually afford for the next generation. I have 3 daughters. I'm very concerned about how they're going to be able to buy a house, as I'm sure many people in this room are when they think about the next generation and the cost of housing. Our focus is trying to figure out how we can implement new technologies and no parts and pieces together to be able to create a more efficient means to produce housing. We started looking at offsite construction 16 years ago, but at that time we were still doing more of a boutique process. We weren't necessarily understanding the means of manufacturing and how we could truly lower costs through standardization and production. The last couple of years, we've implemented mass plywood panel, which is a specific product made here in Oregon out of Lyons by Freris. By integrating that product into our system, it streamlined our entire approach for understanding how to be able to create different typologies, different forms of housing from multifamily to single family to ADUs, and constrain the design team so that we could become more efficient. The same time we did that, we launched Hone. Hone was our IP or our intellectual property for all the information that we were gathering together. But when we started to think about building the same thing over and over again, I realized that there was a great opportunity for us to train the next generation. Back in June, we launched our first cohort of 12 students for a 10-week program where we taught them a little bit of everything about construction. The idea was to be able to get them to understand all the facets of how to build and create. When Ryan approached me about the Hive project back in October, we brought 2 of our students from our cohort together, and we're actually running a design cohort right now with them. So they've been designing the very homes that we're going to be building in the Hive project. As the developer, I'm going to donate one of the lots to Building to Scale, and we're going to run a cohort that's going to go throughout the duration of it. So we're going to have a group of students that are going to actually build the modular in the shop, then they're going to do the site work, and then they're going to do the final installation. But more importantly, from the very beginning, we've had students working on the designs and understanding how you have to design for manufacturing and constructability if we're really going to start to lower costs. So the 3 cohorts will actually be the physical elements of building the units and constructing them. These are just some great pictures from our last cohort that we ran. We didn't have a specific modular project for them to do at the time, but we taught them a lot about the passion for the built environment and understanding how they could change the physical realm just by understanding a little more about the construction processes. what we've learned as somebody that's been in the industry their entire lives is the way that we have to integrate and reach the next generation is much different than the way I was taught. So I was yelled at and screamed at and stuff was thrown and you just kind of worked your way through attrition of understanding how to be in the trades. But that's not a very proficient way for us to increase the workforce that we so desperately need. In order for us to lower the cost of housing, we have to use alternate means and methods, as well as increase the number of students that we can have or employees that we can have that are excited about building again and excited about what they can do for a long-term career. One of my interesting things is I was talking to a politician not too long ago and telling them about the concept of a journeyman. The real essence of a journeyman means that you can take that trade anywhere. You can go anywhere and get a job. So if we teach somebody here, they can go anywhere in the United States, they can go anywhere in the world. Because once you understand the means of putting things together, it's applicable across all platforms. And so that's one of the things that we're really trying to instill in the next generation is the passion for understanding that you can build and continue to build, and that building that you do will help our community. And we're hoping that you guys will embrace, as you have done so far, but continue to embrace the development of the Hive project.
Thank you, Nathan.
Hi, my name's Adrienne Feynman. I am a co-founder of Cedarstone. We are one of the 6 builders involved in Hive. And we're coming together to push the boundaries of construction. We are trying to fully address how to build at scale, affordable, comfortable, healthy, dignified, beautiful homes for everyday people. And it does require innovation. The technology is there. It just requires people to collaborate and help each other make it actually happen. And we're getting very close. And Hive will move the needle. I've gotten to know the owners of these other 5 companies over the past year, and the Hive project is an incredible convergence of 6 different stories, 6 different reasons driving these entrepreneurs who are taking tremendous risk because they truly believe that the world needs this work. These are not companies driven by profit. This is work driven by people who want to leave the world better than they found it. Cedarstone is a Native-owned company, and one of the principles embedded in how we operate is the concept that the world that we were each born into is a result of decisions made by people in the past. And in the same way, the decisions that we make today impact our future generations. Our mentors and elders also taught us to walk with a drum in one hand and a computer in the other. And this is about bringing really human values and leveraging innovation and technology to make the world more beautiful. Of all building types, the house has tremendous potential to change lives. It's the environment where we raise our children, we nurture them, or we nurture ourselves. A home can provide supplemental income for people. It can offer intergenerational wealth. A home can impact physical health by addressing things like mold and off-gassing, and it can impact our relationships with each other's with how well it does or doesn't support family life and how it supports our own self-identity. This project will be a legacy project for the entire country. Many of the builders, including Cedarstone, already have the attention of senators and members of Congress. Individually, most of us have already built these homes and successfully demonstrated that this is a game changer. That part is done, so we know that the homes will be wonderful. The challenge is bringing it to scale, as they've said, and doing that part alone has not been making sense. So that's why we're supporting each other. And this showcase will not only help us, but it will honestly be a breath of fresh air for everyone witnessing and who can celebrate this positive story of collaboration and problem solving and the result of healthy community making. We do need your help and we need your support. You are one of those 4 pillars of how we make this happen. And we would be very happy to be working with you all. And I didn't really flip through my slides as I spoke, so I'll just flip through them quickly now. Thank you.
Yeah, so in closing, thank you all for listening to us share this with you, and we look forward to providing you updates along the way. This is pretty audacious and crazy considering the timeframes in which we have to do this. And the scariest thing for us is this: if you're going to open a show to the public and share it, it's Oregon. I grew up here. Nobody's going to a home show in December, right? It's outside. So we have this little weather window, late September to maybe mid-October. And if we miss that window, you've got to push it out to like next May, which then Sedcor is upset and everybody's like hearts broken. So this is our come together, and everyone here that I've spoken with about it has been really supportive so far. We look forward to that continued support and bringing what we think is one of the neatest things ever to Newberg, like first in the country. It's pretty cool. So thank you.
Hold that on. I think I see Elise is online. She has a question for you.
Hi, Elise.
Hey, sorry I'm not in person, but awesome presentation. And I just wanted to, obviously, I strongly support all this work, and it's really great to see a project coming to fruition. So one of my main question is just, do you see any opportunities? I know that the council and our incredible SDC committee, you know, have revamped our SDC structure, but I'm wondering if there are other opportunities you see to streamline engineering, permitting process for identical or similar style homes. You know, what's your, I guess, dream city to do business in, and what would those, you know, top three things be? Just, I think it's important for us to kind of think, since we have a city manager that's super creative and innovative, what we could potentially do for future projects.
Well, I think we've approached this with the city, with community development as a pilot, right? Like making change is like scary. So if we say we're going to try this once, right, then we're going to see if it works. And if we do, we might be able to create processes and systems that will streamline, you know, the development and plan review.
Cool.
Maybe master plans are approved so they can be repeated with very quick building reviews. I think SDCs are a tough one. You know, Portland, I don't know how they got all the money to wipe their SDCs out for a couple thousand units. SDCs are tough.
I wonder.
Yeah, I don't know. Sus there. I think changing some of the SDCs to like 1,200 square foot and under homes for a reduction would be huge. It's hard to put a family in 1,000 square feet sometimes. So there's things like that we want to continue the discussion on if we're going to scale it. And the neat thing, if we can replicate this, it's taking these underutilized lots, right? There's a lot of obscure flag lot type stuff in Newberg where we can put more units in without running more infrastructure, right? Like it's already sewer in College Street, you know, we're getting 10 more units in. It's pretty neat. So that's kind of like two I can think of.
Yeah, I would also say it's understanding the public work aspect, because as we do these flag lots, we have to run some form of public utilities to the back to be able to make it work. So it's working with the city, but Scott Siegel has been amazing, the whole department, as far as working with us to date and making things approachable, and they're setting it up to try to work with us. So I would say, as a developer that's been developing for a long time, it's been a breath of fresh air to work with a jurisdiction that wants to help us.
Yay. Awesome. Thanks so much.
Could you repeat exactly what you just said about what it's like to work with our planning department rather than other municipalities?
Oh, no.
Okay, we've all heard that.
Well,
Yeah.
I will share that AKS Engineering, who we're working with on land use, and I think they're at the top of their game, and they've said, we've had discussions, that they've not ever dealt with a city so far that was this open to collaboration, right? We're trying to do something hard, like cottage cluster, middle housing, land division, record time, and it's been a breath of fresh air. Like there's a ton of gratitude. I don't want to like shine too much spotlight on Scott, but it's very much appreciated. Yeah. 10 units of housing by September.
I just have friends in the business and they always say that every city's the hardest city to deal with they've ever dealt with.
That Newberg is?
No, all of them,
Oh,
all 60s.
well, we all complain as developers. Like, that's what we're programmed to do. Like,
Yeah, but you guys are doing the land use, the building permits simultaneously. That's never been done before. I mean, that's
Yeah.
that's not something that we've ever experienced.
and I think too, just Scott, it's still a pilot. On everybody's pilot, Brett, Public Works, Will, it's pilot. If we can do this one, then we can, hopefully figure out how to replicate and do it quicker and create a blueprint for people that reduces the complexity. So it's like, here, this works, copy it. Right.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, I would like to say that in my former life, I managed a lumberyard and I know a little bit about the building industry. And when I found out that Nathan's company is using the mass plywood product, if you've been in the Portland airport recently, you have seen some examples of exactly what they're building. They're big, thick pieces of plywood that they can do amazing things. So hats off to you. I'm really looking forward to seeing. I'm sure that your product is just as good, and I can't wait to see it.
We're using the cross laminated timber. It's really similar, large wood panel prefab.
So you're also at the Portland airport then?
It's the same product, yeah, similar.
And my company is actually also building in hives. I'm producing the show and building in it, but we're all non-combustible steel, literally bulletproof-ish buildings. All small arms fire.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, the next item is a public hearing on the partition of an unincorporated parcel in Newberg. Someplace there. Is this one legislative or administrative?
This is the administrative.
Thank you.
Legislative.
Legislative, okay, sorry, my apologies, legislative.
Legislative.
Sorry, yes.
All right. So this is a legislative hearing. I call this hearing to order. The purpose is to discuss the project application, the land division application in front of us. Citizens will be able to testify on this issue. There are none who have signed up. At this point, this is where we ask the council to declare any conflicts of interest or abstentions. Seeing none, we'll move on. Thank you. It's time for the staff report.
All right, good evening, council. So I'm glad that we saved the most exciting project for after the hive for the partition. My name is James Dingwall, one of the planners, and tonight we're going to be wrong way, other way. Staff's recommendation is to adopt resolution number 2026-4008. And we are looking at a proposed 3-lot partition of an unincorporated parcel within the urban reserve. So it is currently unincorporated. However, the Newberg Urban Area Management Agreement requires the city make a recommendation on items having a substantial impact upon land use under the jurisdiction of Yamhill County within Newberg's urban reserve area. So because of its proximity to the city and it being within the urban reserve, city council makes a recommendation, and then the final decision is still made by Yamhill County. So you can see the parcel here. It's at 3301 Northeast Zimri Drive. You can see on the map to the right, that little red box kind of highlights where in the city. So we're just kind of up north in Northeast. And it is an approximately 9.1 acre site currently developed with one single family house. And the applicant is proposing it to be developed into 3 parcels, approximately 3.5, 2.5, and 3.1 acres in size. Here you can see the proposed partition that would be processed currently. So parcels 1, 2, and 3 with the access roads, and then the existing single family house on the right of the map there. And then there are 2 blue dashed areas on parcels 2 and 3 that would include current building pads that would be developed at this time. The Newberg Urban Area Growth Management Agreement has some criteria for when council has these recommendations. And it is that the current development shall not cause more than 10% of the property to be used for site improvements, including building, parking areas, and improved recreation areas or storage, unless the city agrees that the development intensity will not prohibit future urban development, that the future development plan shall allow for the efficient future urban development of the remainder of the property, shall allow for construction of future urban streets and utilities, and shall allow for the required setbacks to current and future property lines, and that the plan is consistent with adopted plans and policies for the area, such as streets and utility plans. So the applicant is required to submit a proposed development plan. So this is what they included. It highlights where the existing house is and then shows the larger parcels that would remain with what is proposed now, and then includes a conceptual high-level outline of where street right-of-way could go, what lot arrangements could look like. So for this proposal, they have some east-west alignments connecting into Zimri Drive. The applicant is not bound by this specific plan in 20 years if they chose to annex. This is simply demonstrating to staff and council that even with how they're choosing to partition it today, it could be developed at urban levels in the future. Community development and development engineering reviewed it. The proposed building envelopes are going to be approximately 12% of the site, so just higher than that 10% threshold. But staff made the determination in the findings that that is not incompatible with that future development. So staff's recommendation is to adopt resolution number 2026-4008. I'm happy to answer any questions.
This is just curiosity, James. How far north of Mountain View? I'm familiar with Zimri and Aspen, but how far north of Mountain View would you guess, or south of Bell?
Well, I'm not sure, like in miles roughly, but the annexation that occurred. Okay.
Sorry,
I helped her see that Roberts Lane is the subdivision just to the south of this.
Great.
So it'll be the very next north piece.
Thank you. I'm not.
So this is a measure, what is it, measure 49 now, claim?
Eligible, I'm not aware if they filed it with the county yet, but it is eligible for I believe the measure 37 claim process.
So normally somebody would not be able to develop inside of our urban reserve boundary. And when we do our assessment this year, our land needs assessment, they're going to consider this 9.1 acre piece of property available for development at 14.8 houses per acre, or whatever the current number that they're using. The reason this person can develop it is because they own this land prior to 1976. And what, in the 90s, I think, somebody got the bright idea that they had used the goalpost rule that our attorney has explained to us a couple of times. And the people who already own their property prior to the implementation of the law said, hey, we shouldn't be subject to the law. So I had quite a conversation with a gentleman from DLCD the other day, and he understands that this is not good for the city to do this, because this is basically going to take that 10 acres of property out of development, future development potential, and there's no way to replace it. And yet it's still going to be counted as buildable land when we do our assessment. So this is, in my opinion, one of the problems with our land use laws. When it comes down to it, there's really nothing we can do about it. He has the absolute right to divide this, and we can complain all we want, but Yamhill County is going to approve this when it gets to them. So that's what's going on here. And unless somebody else has comments, somebody like to make a motion. Mike?
I just have a comment. Does anybody know why he wouldn't want to break it up into more lots? I mean, it would be more valuable at that point.
There's a letter in there about separating out from settling their inheritance equitably amongst, I'm assuming, 3 kids.
Oh,
And it sounds like, I think they have filed with the county because I guess the question I had was, the letter says that this process set them back 2 months and they're filing with the county. So I didn't, so like just a, what did that mean? Bill?
Yeah, so the applicant did submit the application for the partition with the county, and then it was referred to city staff and then we kind of started this process that's outlined in the urban management agreement, which requires the public hearing and recommendation from city council. So that was just kind of a process that, you know, it isn't used terribly often. So I think 2022 was, there were 2 parcels, and then 2019 as well. And if I can just add one other comment as far as like the lot size, I think one just consideration is part of the balancing that staff had to do was, you know, we're evaluating this for development at urban levels that could occur in the future. But although it's in the urban reserve area, it's still not in the urban growth boundary. So as of now, it's still being evaluated at the AF10 agriculture lot size standards. And so, you know, in order to have those more urban, smaller lot sizes for development, it would have to first have the UGB expanded and then be annexed in at some point.
so it seems like to me that, I mean, from what I understand, anytime we try and bring land inside the urban growth boundary, it's difficult to do, or it takes a lot of time. Is that accurate?
Difficult could be an appropriate word for that. Yeah, I think, you know,
Okay. So I understand that might hurt us perhaps in the short run, but in the long run, it's going to be brought inside the city limits at some point in time, which then it would be probably broken down into more lots for housing and stuff. I kind of hate telling somebody what they can and cannot do with their own property. And so with that in mind, I'll probably vote against this. Because I just see that it's going to be so far down the road. It will hurt us a little bit. I understand that in the short frame of mind, but man, the guy can legally do it. It's not inside the urban growth boundary. It's not even inside the city limits yet. So that's kind of how I feel about it.
If I can make just two comments there. So kind of just first off, like at the big picture. So this is just a recommendation to the county. So the county will still be making the actual decision on the partition. And second, and then just kind of Scott might want to add on to this as well. But I think as we've been looking at some of the SB 1537 parcels, well, one of the items that's come up and that we'll likely be bringing back to you is that there have been parcels that have been brought into the urban growth boundary 20 years ago that still are large lots that had not been annexed or developed. So I think kind of that speaks to a broader conversation, both for the housing needs analysis and then also for that urban growth boundary work that'll happen in the future. So just kind of, you know, we have areas elsewhere in the city that could be annexed, could be developed, but just have not yet at this point. And that's been 20 years. So Scott, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, thank you, James, and Mayor, members of the council. I wasn't going to comment on that, but really what are the scope of our review and really what the Urban Growth Management Agreement is asking of the council is to make a recommendation to the county on whether this interferes with, I mean, I'm oversimplifying, but does this interfere with, or is it consistent with future urbanization of the area? It may be unlikely that a fragmented piece of property would ultimately come in to the city because of what James was describing earlier. We have all of these fragmented parcels adjacent to the city that are already within the urban growth boundary that have no motivation to annex. So although notwithstanding the fact that it might be unlikely that this would ultimately annex into the city, we're asked to comment to the county on whether the manner in which they're partitioning this property makes it even more difficult, or if it's compatible with future urbanization. And so, for example, if there are 3 parcels were lined up lockstep along Zimri Drive and provided no possible pathway for bringing access deeper into the lot to eventually divide it in the future, then we would have a different recommendation. We'd say, we think that the way that they've laid out their partition is in conflict with our urban growth management agreement and the principles of urbanization. The way that they've laid it out, we don't see any conflict. So you can make a recommendation finding accordingly, which is what the resolution says. You could choose not to adopt the resolution, in which case we would have no comment to the county. We would respond that there's no comment. Or you could direct staff to prepare a different resolution, making a different comment.
I've got a piece of business I've got to take care of. We have nobody for public comment, is that correct? So at this point, I'm going to open and close public comments. So now your staff report, I assume, is still to pass this on. Mike, you've got the floor.
Yeah, I need to clarify what I meant that I'll be voting for this, because he can do it. I don't want to tell somebody that they can't do something on their own property. So, okay, all right. Well, for the record, anyways.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I just wanted to kind of chime in on the procedural front. This is a bit of an awkward structure, intentionally so, because it's a legislative hearing, but there's a resolution with a recommendation before council. And James and Scott, you can chime in or correct me if I'm wrong, but part of the responsibility of the city under the urban area management agreement with the county is to make a recommendation or not comment or not provide a recommendation in favor. But in passing that, you're supposed to conduct a hearing that's legislative in nature. So there's this bit of an awkward tension because the resolution's before you, but you're going through a legislative process. So we are recommending you go through the steps of, there's no second reading, and you do a roll call vote on the resolution, even though it's not an ordinance.
All right, so the floor is open for council comments. I would like to say that the problem here is not the recommendation. The problem is our land use laws. These are, the city should have the ability to manage the land. We can't let him build on it, so we might as well let him divide it and build 3 large houses and be done with it. But it's not the desired result, in my opinion. So I'm having trouble finding this.
So the next step would be to someone to waive the second reading. Do you want me to walk you through the process here? Then you found it? Okay. But everywhere it says ordinance, say resolution.
So this is the first meeting in which the ordinance is considered. Council should waive the second reading through the following motion. I move to waive the second reading of ordinance number 2026-4008. Is there a second? Peggy? Peggy.
Second.
All right. All right, all in favor of waiving the second reading signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay? Are we okay on a voice vote on that? Okay.
Next one will need roll.
All right. So now we have a motion for approval. I move to approve ordinance number 2026-4008 and ask that it be read, and ask to be read by title only.
I'll second. It's a resolution, but I don't know. It's not a very long one.
It's not very what?
It's not a very long one. I wouldn't be opposed to, but I'll second.
I like it. All right, all in favor of approving the motion, signify.
We do have to do a
Oh.
roll call. And before we vote, I'm going to clarify it's resolution, not ordinance 2026-4008, just for the minutes. Okay. Yes, and the title is, grab that. A resolution recommending that Yamhill County approve a proposed 3-parcel partition of 3301 Northeast Zimri Drive, Yamhill County Tax Lot Number R3208010000.
You're gonna have to
Grab
tell me.
that and the roll call vote. Ready? Okay. Counselor McBride,
Yes.
Counselor Wheatley,
Yes.
Counselor Yarnell Holloman,
Yes.
Counselor Kilberg,
Yes.
Mayor Rossacker,
Yes.
Counselor Turgeson,
Yes.
Counselor Carmen.
Yes.
Thank you.
The motion passes unanimously. We're done with that. You have to show me where you got that title after we're done here. All right. So next item on our agenda is our sister city nonprofit support. I asked the city manager to put this back on the agenda for 2 reasons. One, the wine industry is in 2022, an $8.4 billion industry to the state of Oregon. And more than half of that is in the Willamette Valley. Yamhill County is a huge portion. There are more wineries in the 97132 zip code than any other zip code in the state. So, in my opinion, no council prior to this council has ever acknowledged the wine industry in the city of Newberg. They've never tried to work with the wine industry at all. And yet, it is a big economic driver for our city. So I've asked, made this available for a couple of our major players, the people who set up the Sister City program in the first place, to come back and explain to us why this is important to the economic viability of the city of Newberg. So with that being said, our first commenter is going to be David Adelstein. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you. Thanks to the city council for allowing us to talk. What you say about the wine industry and its role in Newberg is very important. To a certain extent, the wine industry has developed to the point that it's at without any support from Newberg. You have been instrumental, and the city council has been instrumental in reaching out to us, responding to our outreach to you. And this has been made possible by the sister city relationship with Poysdorf. It's not actually, one is not dependent on the other, except emotionally they're tied together. Newberg's wine industry, as is the state of Oregon's industry, dependent on an attitude of openness, of bringing the pieces together in a way that hadn't been brought together in the state of Oregon. And in
particularly in a rural agricultural sense. The role of Poisdorf in this has been really the function of Lynn and Waltraud on their own for, in essence, 12 years. Well, whatever, 2012 minus 13 years, 14 years, actually. Having Poisdorf as an official part of Newberg's agenda going forward would mean that Newberg is open to its current wine industry, its future wine industry, foreign investment, the internationalization of what Newberg stands for. Having the proposition that Poisdorf can be Newberg's sister city, but it's not that important, would mean, in essence, Newberg would be closing the door on its wine industry. It would be saying what you stand for internationally isn't what Newberg stands for. And thus, really, it's not that important. So I would wish that you would make the statement of support for the sister city relationship with Poisdorf and Newberg's role in this international development. That's all I'd have.
Thank you, David. You didn't sign up?
Yeah.
No, yeah, I know. Okay. Brendan Slider. Welcome, sir.
Good evening. I'm Brandon Slider, resident of Newberg. I appreciate Mr. Mayor, the council, and the staff for your time. I recognize that amidst all of the contention and the important things like sewer lines, that sister city relations may not be the most important thing for a city. But I'm hoping that it can still be an important part of the conversation and who we are as a community. So I'm here tonight to kind of reiterate my practical path forward that I presented to maintain both of Newberg's sister cities. Over the past few months, I think it's been kind of clear that the council is less interested in spending public funds on the sister city programs, and I totally respect that. At the same time, I think that with the community involvement, there's a strong interest in not walking away from those relationships. And those two things don't have to conflict with each other. So to help bridge that gap, I've registered a domestic nonprofit, Connect Newberg, which will be community-driven and volunteer-led. We're in the stage right now of forming the board, which means we'll have our bylaws and policies and all the fun stuff before we apply for our 501c3 status. But having run my own nonprofit separately, I know the whole process. So Connect Newberg will never ask the city for funding. We'll never require staff time or demand that city officials or city electeds will be involved. We'll always invite. We already have a model that works with our connection with Asago, or Wadayama, as sometimes it's known, with our middle school exchange program. And we've begun some of the discussions with our Austrian counterparts on how to establish an exchange program for students there as well. So we have a really cool path forward for some options for our students in the community. So I think it's great to look at some of the Japanese companies we have in town, some of which I've actually worked for. And look at these connections and see how healthy they are and say, what can we do for our Austrian sister city to strengthen that? And I think Mr. Adelsheim really nailed it. It's the wine industry. How can we support our local wine industry? How can we learn from international wine industries? Though, that's a little bit above my knowledge, but I know that there's people in the community who are passionate about that. I've begun making connections with some local wine industries. You may see, I don't know if you were distributed some letters of support that I gathered, including from Chamber of Commerce, this school district, some local wineries. So I hope you all can see that there's passion. It's just, there's all these dots all over the place. How can we connect them? How can we bridge this gap? And ultimately, I think my main ask from the city is to just please be supportive, at least verbally. Maintain the sister city connections that we have diplomatically. However much involvement you guys want is going to be on an individual basis. You can be volunteers. You can totally step back if you're less interested. But just, it doesn't feel like it's going in this direction. But I want to make clear that I think cutting ties with a friendship that we've had for decades internationally doesn't feel good. So I'm hoping that with that in mind, we can move forward with maintaining. So I did want to hit three main topics that Connect Newberg is going to be focusing on. We've got education, which will be trying to establish that education connection with Poisdorf, and also raising funds for the kids that go to Japan. So there's some, opportunities for both locations, as well as I'm hoping that I can bring forth some German language classes and some Japanese language classes to the community. Economic is a big one. I'll rely on the experts in the wine industry to tell me what can I do as a nonprofit to support them. I'll always have an open door to meet with them and advocate for them. I also hope that we can bring people to Newberg. You may think, if I'm going to go on vacation overseas, why would I go to Poisdorf? And I'd argue, why would you come to Newberg? So let's make that clear why they should come here. And lastly is cultural. That one's really easy for me because of my experience in overseas nonprofit work, but I have a lot of crazy big fun ideas, and I'll end there since that's my time. But if you have any questions, my door's always open. So that's it. Thank you.
So discussion. And it seems to me that there's the last time that we brought this up, we, the council, directed the city manager that we were going to tell him that he couldn't spend money on this. That's not typically what we do. We've given the city manager the authority to spend up to $100,000 without asking our permission. So I felt that it was a bit unfair to tie his hands in that way. I go to Dundee quite a bit, and Dundee has some really nice hotels now, some very nice luxury hotels, like the one that's going to be built across the street. And they have embraced the wine industry. I really don't want to see Newberg left out of that sort of economic engine for our area. I mean, $8.4 billion. That's one of the largest industries in our state. And I think it would be short-sighted of this council to not support it at some level. So that's my opinion, and I'm going to be quiet now. Elise, go ahead.
Yeah, I fully support what you just shared, Bill, and I respect, keeping the finances separate, but from a supporting mechanism, the sister city has my full support, and I appreciate everyone's thoughtfulness to this, and thank you to the people that came and gave public comment.
Yep. I just want to say thank you to everyone who came for public comment, and Brandon for all of the work that you have done in starting this process of putting together a 501c3. I feel like that is a really elegant solution for kind of navigating what was the conundrum of unpaid staff time supporting this really meaningful relationship. And so I think that there's good value in separating out the financial components, but then us as a council really honoring and uplifting those members of the community who want to pour time and energy and investment, and those of us who can, stepping alongside and partnering in that process without the tricky budgetary line item components.
So to your point about tying the city manager's hands with, he's got a spending limit that he's authorized to use. I totally agree with that. We didn't bring this to him. A member of his staff did. With that being said, he does bring other things to us that are under his spending limit because he respects the will of the council. I think that I've actually been strengthened in my resolve with this with the two speakers. The wine industry has built itself up without the City of Newberg. And I appreciate that. But I also do appreciate the relationship that we do have with the sister cities. And I do support that, but I still don't support public funds being used in that way. If the city manager elects to do that, we've authorized him to do that. What I really don't want is the spouses of elected officials having trips paid for to go to these places. And maybe not even elected officials. That's how I feel about that.
Well, I think I've come around a little bit after listening to the two speakers tonight. I do agree with you, Councilor Carmen, that I think, spouses, if we were to take our spouses with us, I don't think the city should be on the hook for that. But I think as counselors, though, if we were to go, I don't know if we don't really have a policy for that. Maybe we ought to set up a policy. At least we don't have one that I know of, where maybe the individual counselor pays part of his trip and the city pays the other half, perhaps. I mean, that's something to talk about, but at another time maybe. But I guess with all that saying, I'm in support of keeping the relationship going and do what we can. I do appreciate the wine industry and what it has actually done for this town and this area is pretty remarkable. So.
For the record, I also support not sending spouses on city money. Always have. So is that enough clarity, or do we need to vote on this? Go ahead.
I think if I could restate what I'm hearing, just so that I've got clarity on this. Providing some community support line item from that identified section, which, as you know, up till now I've been focusing on downtown improvements with that line item. Taking some portion of that to further the works of the sister city, the new organization, is supported by council. That's what I'm hearing. And I'm also hearing that they would not want, even if that nonprofit wanted to, would not want to be sending people's spouses, period, on that dime. I know it's very hard to enforce a nonprofit not to do something, right? But we would certainly make our wishes understood by them. So am I understanding that correctly? I believe I am.
Well, I guess I would defer to how the nonprofit spends their funding to the nonprofit. I would say how the city chooses to contribute and spend city money. Like, I would love to go to Poysdorf. I am 100% planning to 100% pay for myself. But if Brandon wins the lottery with his not-for-profit in the future, and there is money for Brandon's 501c3 to choose to pay for whoever they want to take from the community of Newberg. But then we have, what is the rules, James? It is more than a $50 gift for Brandon to pay for all of us to go. So that would be an issue to address in the future. So I think I don't want to get so nitty gritty as to determine how Brandon can or cannot spend Brandon's money as a not-for-profit, knowing that he'll follow all the laws and do all the things he's supposed to, but then also making sure that we don't have conflict of interest conundrums if Brandon elects to pay for us to have more than a $50 plane ticket.
I was just looking for my opportunity. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So Councilor Jurgensen is spot on. Obviously, there's the $50 gift limit that organ ethics rules or the organ ethics statute applies to elected officials, to other city officials. That same analysis, without considering any of the exceptions, applies regardless of the source of that payment, right? So if in a hypothetical situation where a nonprofit were to pay for, the airfare and hotel of members of city council, that ethics law still comes into play. However, there are exceptions to that gift rule. One of the exceptions is when you have certain kind of officially designated economic activities that you participate in, then that doesn't constitute a gift for the purposes of the statute. But in order to kind of unlock that exception, the council would have to pass a resolution identifying that particular trip, be it, Poisdorf or otherwise, as that officially designated, kind of economic development trip, if you will. And then there's some coverage there for you as elected officials for reasonable travel, food, lodging expenses.
And that would have to be done each and every trip, or could we do that once and for this as a unit?
Yeah, my recommendation is to tailor the resolution to particular trips, Mr. Mayor. So a blanket resolution, I think, could create some exposure when reviewed by OGAC, but tailored resolutions for particular trips would be the advised route.
So if everybody's good, we can move on. So the last item on our agenda is the Payzer code change.
Thank you, Honourable Mayor and Council. I brought this before you this evening simply to add a word that represents a new type of technology to our code. And so this is in the form of an ordinance change, a very, very minor one.
Both being legislative, so it's the same one.
Oh, okay.
Just there.
So
Here's your whole strip.
is this strip?
And
Okay,
this is one of those.
okay. Thank you, Brandon. Thank you, David. I'm sorry, I was talking to the clerk. Was that your entire presentation?
No, when you get to the bit where you go staff presentation, give it to me now, Will. I'll say more words.
So Peter, legislative hearing, I now call this hearing to order. It's a hearing to consider the proposal in front of us. At this time, I will open the public hearing. The citizens will be able to testify on the issue first submitting. Do any of them? Again, we need to declare conflicts of interest or absentation. Do any of the council members have any conflicts or absentations to declare? Seeing none, we are ready for the staff report.
In 2024, the entirety of the city of Newberg underwent road surface scanning using LiDAR technology. One of the objectives of this effort was to create a richer understanding of what road sections were badly degraded or indeed altogether failing with this brand new type of data. The end product of this analysis was a PACER dataset, Pavement Surface Evaluation and Rating System. The dataset will enable better decision-making about future road repair decisions, in other words, where we should spend our money first. In November of 2025, the City GIS analyst brought to my attention that to make best use of the new LiDAR PACER data, Newberg would need to make a minor ordinance change to recognize this new technology. The code change that sits before you tonight does not replace Pavement Condition Index with PACER. No. Instead, this ordinance adds PACER to our municipal toolkit for the assessment of road surface conditions to help make better informed decisions on where to dedicate scarce resources. In other words, we will recognize both systems and we'll be able to use both systems. Exhibit A illustrates the use of PACER and contains the proposed text insertions. Exhibit B contains the ordinance that sets the PCI standard, and that was from back in 2016. So this is adding to work that was done then. While there is no direct fiscal impact, PACER will allow road repair resources to be better deployed, and that can only be a good thing. And we feel that this falls within Goal 5, implement a careful and prudent fiscal policy.
All right. I now open public comments. We have nobody signed up for public comments. Nobody in the audience wishes to make comment on this. So I'm going to close public comments. So first of all, I move to waive the second reading of ordinance number 2026-2942. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor of waiving the second reading of this ordinance signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion passes.
You don't have to make this motion. It can be anyone. They see there's text on.
We what?
You don't have to make the motion to approve the ordinance. It can be anyone.
Yeah, no, they don't have the script though. So I move to approve ordinance number 2026-2942 and to that it ask that it be read by title only. Is that close enough? Is there a second?
Second.
What's that?
Well, it's not going to joke, Mr. Mayor, about April 1st and how James would have to read the whole.
I'm going to ask Councillor Carmen to let me know in advance when the full ordinance is read, and I'll send an associate to be there for that meeting.
So it has been, there's a motion and a second to approve this motion and read it by title only, which is
An ordinance to recognize PACER data in Newberg Municipal Code.
it's a lot of words just to put 5 words into our code.
Oh, yes.
All right, so roll call vote.
Yep. Counselor McBride,
Yes.
Counselor Wheatley, yes. Counselor Yarnell Holloman,
Yes.
Counselor Kilberg,
Yes.
Mayor Rosshacker,
Yes.
Counselor Turgeson,
Yes.
Counselor Carmen.
Yes.
Thank you.
The motion passes unanimously. Counselor Holloman, where are you today?
Oh, I'm in Kauai. Sorry.
Well, I hope you're having a good time. Thanks for taking time out of your vacation to come to the council meeting.
Absolutely. It's been a great meeting.
Oh, I'm sorry, we do have one more item on our agenda. We need to elect a new council president for 2026. So are there any nominations?
Yeah,
Peggy?
I'll nominate Robin. I know we rotate this around and it's been, I've had it, Mike's had it, Lisa's has been it. I think she's the next. You don't know?
I nominate Derek.
Second.
Are there any other nominations? All in favor of Derek as the council president for 2026, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay? All right.
Yay, go
Yay,
Derek.
Derek. Well, this was an interesting meeting. Thank you for sticking with us, those of you that did. And we'll see you in 2 weeks. I declare this meeting adjourned.
Thanks, everyone.